You'd think there'd be some law against systematically making your employees feel like absolute shit, whether through prolonged campaigns of professional gaslighting, patronizing lectures, or malicious pranking. And guess what? There is! It's called constructive dismissal, and you can literally sue for thousands. You'd think lawyers would have a field day then if they learned WWE's employees were expected to wet their pants or pass wind on demand. But anything goes in pro wrestling, and hey, if Vince is prepared to do it, everyone should be prepared to do it. Or so we're frequently told. And for some reason, they are. Rare has a WWE superstar quit the company in outright disgust after being asked to portray a pervy stalker, an absolute nobody, or even in one horrifying example, sell a kiss from Ric Flair. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are 10 times WWE deliberately embarrassed its own stars. Number 10, Chad Gable. Look, right, history will record that I was not what you'd consider a tall man, and thus this patter winds me right up. The average height of American men of all ethnicities is 5 foot 9 inches. SmackDown's Chad Gable is 5 foot 8 inches. That is a difference of a solitary inch without even factoring in any lifts in his boots. Now, of course, the average wrestling ability of American men of all ethnicities is approximately that of a sack of spuds. SmackDown's Chad Gable, even discounting his Olympic Greco-Roman wrestling career, is one of the professional industry's most technically gifted competitors, and could comfortably slot in amongst the best in any promotion in the world. And I mean, he probably should when you consider what WWE have done with those two facts. Chad Gable isn't some wonderful wrestler on SmackDown whose regular stature makes him immediately empathetic with a mass audience. He's an inconsequential tag wrestler shoved in a ridiculous basketball jersey and referred to as Shorty G. My blood, it boil. Number 9, Natalya. Like many of her forebears, Natalya Neidhart knew that in order to succeed in WWE, the word no simply wasn't an answer. The idea that you should make a virtue of whatever garbage you're given is one of the company's unchallenged rules. And fair play to her, Natty believed her wrestling heritage compelled her to uphold this ridiculous tradition rather than giving her the right to reject it. I think the McMahons really embraced that, she once said. Look at Stephanie. She's the biggest character in WWE. She's just captivating. Whether she's getting thrown into a pool of mud with Vicky Guerrero or being arrested. What she didn't mention is that the billion-dollar princess, often and purposefully portrayed as the company's most powerful and important woman, was never handed a storyline in which she suffered from a flatulence problem. Natalya, though, was. In early 2012, she could regularly be heard parping in backstage skits, on one occasion murdering Hornswoggle by passing gas. And there wasn't any particular reason for it beyond farting equals funny in the mind of Vince McMahon. The seasoned star tried to laugh it off by saying it was a consequence of eating a lot of protein bars, but she must have been crying inside. Number 8, Drake Maverick. At Survivor Series 2018, Drake Maverick pissed himself. Not metaphorically, he didn't unintentionally lead the Authors of Pain to tag team failure through his own managerial incompetence. No. He literally pissed his pants. And apparently, it was the most hilarious thing to ever happen. In the lead-up, there was no obvious reason why the name of Vince McMahon had once more been shoved into the mouth of lumbering Golan the Big Show, allowing him to lurch into the AOP's battle for brand supremacy with the Bar. Things soon became clear, though, the moment Maverick stained his pants. When Sheamus and Cesaro's attempts to prove SmackDown's worth were repeatedly foiled by the antics of the former Spud, that's when their 7-foot-tall enforcer came into play. After escaping to one side of the ring, Maverick found himself face-to-face with the veteran behemoth, and dark patches began to appear on his trousers. And story goes, he was given a device inserted into said trousers in order to simulate the effect of pissing them, but said device broke during the match, and he just had to go for it. In the ring. In his pants. Yeah. Number 7, DDP. WCW stalwart Diamond Dallas Page was famously a late bloomer in the industry. Still, though, he knew although he could happily sit out his contract in 2001, the opportunity to work and crucially make even more money was one he simply couldn't shirk. Realigning allegiances with Stamford required an initial investment. Page had to buy out his own Time Warner contract to make the move north. And then how did his new employers reward him for this enthusiasm? Did they present this actual star from the rival organization as a genuine threat to their stuttering invasion? Or did they profit from his legitimate popularity to make him into another babyface hero? Of course they did not. He was from the enemy camp and needed to be swiftly taught his place. DDP was transformed from a positive man of the people into a creepy stalker preying on the wife of WWE's biggest, baddest dad. As part of the angle, Sarah Sarah Undertaker, and that is honestly what they called her, competed in her one and only wrestling match in which she pinned the 3-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion. This is why you take up yoga, to calm yourself down. Number 6, Mickie James. Despite being public partners of the anti-bullying campaign Be a Star for almost a decade, the company have over the years... how do I put this? Done a lot of bullying angles, and not many of them well. 2 years before pretending to help rid American schools of playground provocation, WWE made the blameless Mickie James the center of an angle in which she was viciously ridiculed for being overweight. For several weeks, the heel tandem of Lay Cool mocked James for her weight gain, making lame pig puns and coining the term Piggy James. Just for context there, this is Mickie James at the time. A weight gain angle. An actual, honest-to-God, living, breathing weight gain angle. I mean, where do you begin? Where do I begin with this? Now, yes, this was supposed to get a heel heat, and yes, she did beat Michelle McCool for a women's championship somewhere down the line, but she won it back within a month. Ultimately, as so often seems to be the case in WWE, the bullies prevailed. Number 5, Booker T. Booker T, like DDP, could have entered WWE as a major player in the company's invasion angle. There was money to be made from the fictional war built from over a decade of factual animosity. But with most of WCW's true stars content to continue cashing their checks, the Atlanta team was struggling for legitimacy. On the 2nd of August edition of SmackDown, Rocky returned to WWE. After pledging his allegiance to the company in which he was born, he turned his attention to other business, a certain Texan world champion. But no, sorry, he didn't get that one. Instead, outwalked Houston's Booker T, WCW Championship in tow. The Rock's face was a picture of mock perplexion as he asked the supposed unknown, "Who in the blue hell are you?" His response that he was the WCW champion, sucker, was lapped up by his verbal sparring partner, who removed it of its pronunciation to make it funny. You could sense Booker's apprehension when The Rock delivered his next question, "What is your name?" And of course, it didn't matter what his name was, it didn't matter what his legacy was, Booker T was instantly cast as another zero. He would be forced to climb all the way back up the ladder from this moment on. Number 4, Baron Corbin. When Jinder Mahal rolled up Baron Corbin to embarrassingly end his Money in the Bank run, it came with a huge dollop of schadenfreude. For many, the Lone Wolf was the greasy embodiment of the Peter principle in full effect. Pushed well beyond his limited ability, the thought that WWE's inexplicable love affair with him had suddenly ended was a slight relief to the audience. But then stories began to subsequently emerge that the future constable had in fact stood up to Dr. Joseph Maroon backstage when WWE's chief medical director began to downplay the enormity of JAMA study into CTE. The former football star strongly disagreed with him, and the pair were said to have had a heated exchange. Shortly after this, Corbin lost his Money in the Bank briefcase, and days later, a John Cena in full-on banter mode squashed him at SummerSlam. WWE undid a year of build within a week purely out of spite, which is really stupid because, as we all know, Baron Corbin is brilliant. Number 3, The Revival. If and when The Revival finally escaped their WWE purgatory, it wouldn't be surprising to hear some toadying office jobs with shout, "Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out." Now, you might think that's just a little bit of a joke on their part, but it might actually come from a place of concern given the sort of slapstick segments WWE normally write them in. Do you get it? Yeah, the joke there is that they once had sore bums after their trunks were filled with sweat-activated Usi hot cream during their feud with the Usos in 2019. It made them all itchy and burny and they were squirming around on the Raw entrance stage like a couple of dogs wiping their arses on the carpet. And this is a thing that, in case you've forgotten or just, suppressed it, actually happened. A thing, a real life thing that they made The Revival do. How you or me or anybody who writes about wrestling for a living didn't immediately just quit our jobs after this, well, God bless our tenacity and God bless The Revival. Number 2, The Spirit Squad. The Spirit Squad's push quickly evaporated when over-the-hill D-Generation X pranksters Shawn Michaels and Triple H literally shoved them in a box and sent them packing to OVW at the tail end of 2006. The skit benefited precisely nobody within WWE, with the possible and its only possible exception of the protagonists. It was simply another manifestation of a backward system which saw the company condition their fans to expect nothing from the John Laurinaitis-led developmental. OVW was a star-making machine, just in reverse. And by teaching the audience that it was a mediocrity factory, few would blame them when the chaff rose to the top. When the Troops Kenny reappeared on TV, the stink of his previous run lingered. It was simply impossible for anyone to care, and nobody did. Years later, Triple H would recontextualize himself as WWE's savior, spearheading NXT in a philosophical new direction. In reality, though, he was fixing a problem he'd helped create. Number 1. Jim Ross, repeatedly. During his various WWE tenures, good old JR cycled through numerous hats beyond simply his trademark Stetson. Lead commentator, co-commentator, producer, head of talent relations, scout, even an in-ring performer with a surprisingly healthy 55% win record. But the real role reserved for the Oklahoman was as Vince McMahon's personal punching bag. Let's tot up the various ways WWE ridiculed one of their most trusted and valued employees. He was set on fire by Kane, made to kiss the foot of squirty co-commentator Michael Cole, made to kiss the ass of Vince McMahon himself, mocked with reference to his Bell's palsy condition by both of these men, the target of hot barbecue sauce fired into his face, and most memorably of all, the unwilling patient on an on-screen colonoscopy at the gloved hands of Dr. Heine. On one night, Jim Ross was squeezed into a toga and forced to pretend that WrestleMania 9 wasn't a complete pile. Maybe everything that followed just felt better by comparison. So there you have it, those are 10 times WWE deliberately embarrassed its own stars. Read to you by a man for whom everyday life is enough of a constant stream of shame. Let me know what you made of it all in the comments below, and of course don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. In the meantime though, thank you so much for watching. I've of course been Adam Cleary, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.